Number 10. What the heck is the Krampus? What does he look like? Although Krampus has a ton of different variations from around the world, he's usually depicted as a hairy beast with hooves and horns of a goat. He has a long pointed tongue that rolls out of his mouth, and he has sharp looking fangs. Krampus carries around chains that symbolizes the devil, and he also has a basket full of birch branches. I'm not sure why. I mean, what does he use the birch for? Does he build stuff when he's bored? Well, we'll get into that a little bit later in this video. Krampus also has one human foot and one hooved foot, which actually makes me feel very uncomfortable. Krampus is an evil Christmas demon, and this takes us into number 9. So basically, Krampus is, the wicked version of Santa Claus. His main mission in life is to punish children and their parents if they're being naughty. And that's if they're disobedient or if they've lost their Christmas spirit. If the people that he captures and punishes do not feel any remorse, well, he will drag them to the underworld and they will never be seen or heard from again. So obviously something must have happened to this guy Krampus during his childhood, because why is he doing this? He wants people to be good and to believe in Christmas, but then he does it the wrong way. Maybe he didn't get the love he needed when he was a kid. Maybe he was on Santa's naughtiness and he didn't like being there. He didn't like every year getting coal. Although he probably had sick barbecues. Okay, there's more than just one evil Krampus lurking around, and the scary fact comes in at number 8. Many people believe that there is only one version of Krampus in all of the folklore, but they are sadly mistaken. Krampus is just one of many horned demons that can come snatch you and throw you into a sack for the night, especially if you haven't been nice this year. So make sure you guys are all being nice. So how many of these scary beasts are out there? Well, the legend doesn't say exactly. All I know is that none of us are safe, and you better hope that you were good this year, or else Krampus is going to be paying you an unpleasant visit. Number 7, we're talking about the Krampus Festival. A festival that you will never see this brown guy at. I mean, would you guys believe me if I told you guys in parts of Europe, drunk men will dress up as Krampus, come to your house, scare you to death, but then you're supposed to invite them in for a drink? Is this real life right now? I actually have the answer for this one. Yeah. I think it is. These men will dress up in Krampus costumes, and then they will go to a kid's bedroom window to basically scare the hell out of them, but then their parents will let them into the house, offer them a stiff drink. These drunken Krampus lookalikes will keep doing this all night until they have covered the entire town. Actually, you know what? I don't believe that this is real, but sometimes things get way out of hand, and they have been known to beat people in the streets with birch sticks. So if I were you, I would go into full purge mode. I'm not talking about going out there and killing all the Krampuses. I'm talking about boarding up your windows, lock your doors, and never answer the door for anyone on that night. Next up on our list, number 6. Where did he come from? Well, his name was derived from the German word Krampen, which means claw, and he is said to be the son of Hel in Norse mythology. Hel is a goddess who ruled the underworld, so it's pretty clear that Krampus has some evil blood running through his veins. It's believed that people created him as a way to scare their children into behaving. I mean, that would work on me. I'm not a dad yet, but couldn't we just use some positive reinforcements instead of threatening them with a demon? Krampus has been feared for many years, and children are scared of him to this day. Yeah, I wonder why. But you know what? He's so overly commercialized now, he might be starting to lose his edge. He's Santa's partner in crime, and this brings us to number 5. Okay, think of it this way. Krampus is Santa's right-hand man. It's kind of good cop, bad cop team, but they emotionally torture children. On Christmas Eve, Krampus actually rides shotgun with Santa, traveling from house to house, but for those unfortunate kids who are bad, instead of getting coal in their stocking, Krampus will slither down their chimney to punish and brutally beat them. And this all happens while Santa, well, he's still on the roof. He's patiently waiting up there, sipping on hot cocoa in his sleigh. So in a way, isn't Santa kinda evil too? He knows what's going on. He knows that these kids are being tortured, but he doesn't do anything to stop them. I guess that's the price they pay for not being good throughout the year. Next up on our list, and at number 4, he's part of a whole evil Christmas family. If you guys thought only Krampus and the Grinch were the evil monsters of Christmas, well, you'd be sadly mistaken. And that's because according to the Christmas lore, Krampus is surrounded by a big evil family made up of evil helper elves and also evil demon brothers and sisters. Apparently there are 13 demons that hang out with Krampus, and some of them are called the Door Slammer, the Window Peeler, Keeper, the Sausage Snatcher, and the Doorway Sniffer. I have no idea who named these demons. Personally, I think their names need a lot of work, but don't be fooled. These demons are supposedly very evil, and they have the potential to mess you up. Krampus wreaks havoc on December 5th, not on Christmas Eve, and this takes us to number 3. In many of the horror films based off of the Krampus legend, he tends to wreak havoc on Christmas Eve, but that's not actually the case. In most of the legends, Krampus actually comes out on the night of December 5th, which is also known as Krampusnacht, or the eve of Saint Nicholas Day. Kids will either leave a shoe or boot outside of their front door, and then the next day they will check to see if Krampus left them a present in their shoe for good behavior, or if they left them a rod for bad behavior. I'm pretty sure a rod is one of those like poking sticks that you poke fire with. But I don't even want to think about what Krampus is doing with that rod. Okay, he abducts wicked children, and this scary fact brings us to number 2. According to an old legend, Krampus lives in the realm of the dead, but once a year on December 5th, he is allowed to leave his depressing and gloomy home to travel out into the human world to capture and punish wicked children. In some stories, he steals children, torments them, or drags them to hell for the night. He is also known to stuff children into his sack, take them away to his lair, and torture them for hours and hours. So I guess the moral of the story is here, make sure that you guys are good, every single day of the year, because you might be paid a visit from the evil Krampus himself. Krampus Punishments tackles its way on this list in at the number 1 spot. When it comes to punishments, Krampus doesn't go easy on his victims. First, he will resort to beating kids with birch rods and ripping their ears off. He will also rip out their pigtails and force them to beg for mercy. But some of his more brutal punishments include leading children off a cliff, putting them in shackles and baskets, throwing them into oncoming trains, or Krampus will drown them in ink and fish out the corpse with a pitchfork. Krampus is like the most savage version of the Grinch, but at least the Grinch had a heart.
Alright, and starting us off at number 10, we have Gryla. This is this Icelandic lady as the holiday version of the witch from Hansel and Gretel, who lives in the gingerbread house and eats children.
Except her house is a cave and she's a giant and has superpowers to sniff out bad kids on the naughty list in nearby towns before kidnapping them and making them into stew. Next up on this list at number 9.
He roamed at large, hungry and evil, in the freezing Yule snow, in every home, people shuddered at his name. If one heard a pitiful meow, something evil would happen soon.
Okay, so if Gryla wasn't creepy enough for you guys, so we got her cat. The Yule cat is up next.
The legend goes back and forth on this one, with some saying that the cat stalks prey who are wearing old clothes on Christmas Eve, as opposed to new clothes that the wool farmers had forced their employees into making.
So this cat was seemingly used as a scare tactic for slave labor around the holiday.
Other legends say this cat simply ate other people's food. But back in the day, when these legends were a very real part of society, that still wasn't ideal either, because, well, food wasn't as plentiful and available as it is today. Next up at number 8, we have the Yule Lads.
According to Icelandic legend, the Yule Lads are the 13 sons of the mountain trolls, Grýla and her lazy husband.
This one is creepy in essence, but I'm getting a real Seven Dwarves vibe. So the 13 Yule Lads were kind of like Santa's little helpers, full of mischief and named accordingly. But here's where it goes south. Get it? South Pole, not North Pole. But anyways, back to what I'm saying, Santa, or Snow White in this case, is Gryla, and that's their mother. Many legends say that they also eat children. Others say they just wreak havoc on them in evil, mischievous ways.
Next up, number 7.
Frau Perchta. Frau Perchta, though largely unknown in the West, holds deep roots embedded in the folklore of Eastern Europe tradition. A reputation as the Witch of Christmas.
Care to flip a coin for your Christmas fates? Psh, I know I would. You got a 50-50 chance. Well, that's kind of what Eastern European kids did with this next monster. Frau Perchta, the monster we're talking about right now, or Berthcha, well, she would leave a coin in a child's shoe if they were a good kid. The flip side to this, however, is the naughty list. Well, what happens on the naughty list, you ask? Well, this is where it gets really awful. The monster is said to slice open the abdomen and take out what's there and replace it with straw and pebbles. It's called the Feast of Epiphany. More inspiration for classic Disney movies begins with this story. Frau Persta is either presented as a beautiful young lady or a wicked old hag with a large foot. There's evidence that suggests that she is a shapeshifter. I could be her right now.
Alright, moving on, number 6, we have Santa's evil twin.
Santa Claus, as the name would suggest, is the evil doppelganger of the ever-beloved Christmas father figure, otherwise known as Santa Claus.
He's up next on the list, and he goes by the name of Pierre Foutard.
Actually goes by a couple different names as he translates into Father Whipper. Although it's kind of weird because it has nothing to do with the legend of this creepy, dark Santa.
As it goes, he was an innkeeper who murdered 3 boys, and when Saint Nicholas, aka Santa, found out, he resurrected the boys back to life and condemned old Pierre to a life of repenting his sins.
But Santa brings him out annually on St. Nicholas Day to handle the kids on the naughty list with his whip. And moving right along, number 5, speaking of switches, this next Christmas creep uses them too.
And what's more, he is said to be a pal of old Saint Nick as well.
Belschnickel originated in Germany but has gained popularity in North America.
This unkempt troll-looking monster visits kiddos in the weeks leading up to Christmas Day, and visits to see who is naughty and nice so he can whip them into shape, literally.
Well, you know what? This guy doesn't discriminate, and I think this year I am on the naughty list.
And at number 4, we have Krampus. Okay, so while there are some classic Christmas monsters that didn't make this list, like the Grinch, we couldn't not put Krampus on here.
But he's sliding in at number 4. If you don't know who Krampus is, I don't know where you've been living. I suggest you put it on your Christmas movie list this year. You should be watching it right after you watch our video, and watch it right after you watch Home Alone.
Krampus means claw and is one of the more famous Christmas monsters to date.
This guy is half goat and half demon, and this thing punishes the naughty kids, and he'll punish them in any tragic or horrifying way he can, including drowning them, eating them, or just sending them to hell. And I can't forget about whipping kids, because every
monster on this list just
yeah, let's just result to
oh man.
And coming in at number 3, the Tomten is a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde style like gnome that is said to possess human-like strength. He is said to kill livestock, give a hellish beating, another monster beating kids, and even kill you with his poisonous bite after driving you absolutely insane. Well, you know what? Although I just listed all those things, he's not that bad though. He will literally protect your house if he likes you, and of course, if you treat him well, he'll treat you well.
And now at number 2. Some of you may have seen the cult classic film Gremlins, which is widely regarded as a Christmas movie because the film takes place at Christmas time, when a father buys his son a pet named Mogwai, which means monster in Cantonese, from a shop in Chinatown. Pretty sure this movie is where the inspiration for the 90s toy Furby came from, because they look identical, and they're both super creepy. That is, of course, unless you get them wet or feed them after midnight, which is exactly what happened in this movie. Well, let's rewind. This film was actually based off of an old folklore, and even got more popular in World War II when the government used advertisements to warn people of malfunctions in aircrafts and blaming these creatures for causing them.
And finally, at number 1, the Grither. I feel like we should be bleeping out this guy's name because, as the legend has it, he doesn't like hearing it out loud. So why did I just say it?
Whoops! The lives on the other side of Santa's workshop in an old abandoned ship.
So the his hands are as big as basketballs and his arms the length of massive snakes.
The veins are pumped with fear and anger, not blood, and he hates being cold and wet, which is exactly what you would think an abandoned Arctic ship in the North Pole would feel like.
So every time the hears its name, it grows its ears double the size, eventually growing so large that the can fly like Dumbo.
This is only a tale though, and anyone that can actually verify the has been eaten.
Alright, well thank you guys so much for watching this video. I was one of your hosts, Landon. Do not whip me.
And I've been your other host, Lindsay. I want to whip you. And I'll see you when I see you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
I want to say it right. Is it? You think it's Yola or Jola? Jola Kotorian.
Yola
Jola Kotorian. Actually, he goes by a couple different names, as his name translates into Father Whisper.
Whipper.
Oh, Whisper.
This is only a tale though, and anyone that can actually verify the
You did yourself.
I know. Okay. This is only a tale though. No, don't do that.
Coming in at number 10, we have Krampus. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm actually scripting and filming this video on December the 5th, and researchers just told me that December 5th is Krampus night. What? Now I'm pretty scared. Krampus is like the anti-Santa. He's a half goat, half demon. Maybe he's a messenger from the devil himself, or maybe he is Lucifer incarnate. Who knows? All we do know is that legends of the Krampus are rife in Austria, Bavaria, northern Italy and Slovenia at Christmas time, and that the monster is said to punish kids who misbehave. How does he punish them, I hear you ask? With a severe beating, that's how. Thanks, Krampus. With the worst kids though, he's said to drown them or send them to hell. Fun. As I said, for me right now, tonight is Krampus night, which means that people in Northeast Europe will be out celebrating dressed like Krampuses. Krampy? Krampy? The problem with the Krampus parades and celebrations are that often people get way too carried away and actually beat people while they're in character. I think they need to slow down and stop channeling the Krampus. Krampus. Coming in at number 9, we have Black Peter, or Zwart Piet. This has been in the news quite a bit recently because it is pretty below par these days. Black Peter is very scary to look at, but also because he is a racist stereotype. A lot of people have accused the people of the Netherlands and Belgium, where he's particularly celebrated, of perpetuating a racial stereotype. Blacking up just isn't cricket. Other than that though, Peter is a benevolent fellow who gives out candy to good boys and girls and is a great friend of St. Nicholas. Doesn't sound so scary, right? A lot of people want to keep Black Peter alive and thriving, but others vehemently protest him. What do you guys think? Oh, coming in at number 8, we have Farmhand Rupert, and you don't want to party with him. Farmhand Rupert is a terrifying foe. He's a mean-spirited trickster of a man. Sure, we're going to talk about the naughty list and the nice list, but Farmhand Rupert has a different way of dealing with insolent children. As part of German legend, Farmhand Rupert walks around the hood, or the countryside, and asks unsuspecting children if they can pray. If they can, he gives them a delicious gingerbread gift. If they can't, he gives them random pieces of junk. If they refuse, what does he do? He beats them with a bag of ashes. Thanks for the beating, Farmhand Rupert, you gingerbread wielding creep. Coming in at number 7, we have the Elf on the Shelf. Okay, listen up. In my opinion, the Elf on the Shelf is absolutely terrifying. It's become very popular with parents these days, but the gangly looking elf has been in popularity since the book of the same name came out in 2005. The book is all about elves who visit kids' homes and watch them to determine whether or not they're naughty or nice. The book now comes with actually little creepy blue-eyed elves, and you can have them in your home. The product description says that they are Santa's eyes and ears in your house. Hello, surveillance state of Santa. You're invading my privacy. A police state is actually no laughing matter, and the Elf on the Shelf is like a threat to kids. Do you seriously want them to grow up believing that they're being what? I don't know. Are we normalizing this? I don't think we should. While we're talking about Elf on the Shelf, why don't we talk about the naughty list in general at number 6? So urban legend has it that Santa Claus, Father Christmas, Père Noël, whatever you want to call him, the legend says that he has a naughty list and a nice list, which is pretty concerning, not least to mention that he sees you when you're sleeping and he allegedly knows when you're awake. Creepy. Those on the nice list are rewarded with gifts, and those on the naughty list receive lumps of coal. Coal is something that you throw in a fire, which basically seems like a thinly veiled threat from Santa to me. The whole thing is like a weird mind control game for kids. There are allegedly ways to check the naughty and nice list too. I went on the North Pole Times to check if I was nice, and I was, but then I started checking other names and, well, this happened. You sure about that, Santa? You sure? Coming in at number 5, we have the Portuguese ghost dinner. In Portugal, people get up early on Christmas morning and have a feast for the dead called consoda. It is to honour ancestors and dead relatives. Families will leave out extra plates of food as offerings for those who have passed. The offerings appease the dead and ensure good fortune for the household. If the feast isn't held for the ghosts and offerings are not made, well, it could be a bad year. Coming into number 4, we have Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn had a bit of a hard life, didn't she? Historically speaking, sometimes by some people she's kind of frowned on for being a strumpet, but like in actuality, King Henry VIII was an abhorrent oaf and she was, you know, just a woman who didn't want to give it up without being married. Saying that probably would have got me killed 500 years ago, but that's the thing about oppression, you can only silence people while you're alive. Your legacy speaks for itself when you're dead, so take that, King Henry VIII. You fatty. Anyway, poor Anne Boleyn of course ended up being locked in the Tower of London and then beheaded by her abhorrent husband. Life wasn't always so sad for her though. She actually grew up pretty happy with her sister Mary in Hever Castle in England. It is said that every Christmas Eve the ghost of Anne Boleyn can be spotted at this very castle in Kent, gliding around the grounds and across the bridge over the River Eden. Coming in at number 3, we have the Ghostly Gathering. Poland's beautiful castle, the Warwol Royal Castle, was built high upon Warwol Hill in the 1500s. Old Polish legend says that within the belly of the hill there is a cave where an ancient great dragon used to live, although the fearsome beast was defeated. The hill is shrouded in mystery and magic and is an important spot for the history of the Polish nation. It seems that the urban legend also has it that in the hill there is a grand chamber, and in that chamber on every Christmas Eve evening all of the former kings of Poland hold a special ghostly council. I don't know what happens to the queens, I guess they're not invited. Anyway, it's said that they produce a magical energy that protects Krakow. Coming in at number 2, we have Frau Perchta. Merry Christmas! Hop hop hip hurrah! Oh look, it's the organ witch, Frau Perchta. Don't like her. She can stay away from me. This nightmare from Germany and Austria appears during the 12 days of Christmas right up until the Epiphany. She is said to be a direct descendant of the goddess of nature and she generally lives in the woods all year round outside of the 12 days of Christmas where she enacts judgment on the townsfolk. It is said that she loves to reward good people, but she has gruesome punishments for the sinful ones. She scoops out their internal organs and replaces them with garbage. Thanks, Frau Perchta. That'll learn them. She also isn't the greatest looker, not that I'm judging. I am, however, judging the organ scooping though, that's just uncalled for. Finally, coming into number 1, I enjoyed this legend the most, but it is pretty scary. We have the legend of, correct my pronunciation, Jola Kotorin. Good. Thank you, Iceland. So yeah, beware Jolak Kotorin, the nasty killer cat. This ain't no household cutie kitty, absolutely not. The Icelandic Yule cat is part of a tradition of new clothes at Christmas. Good people, children and adults alike, are supposed to receive new clothes to wear for Christmas Eve. If a person receives new clothes, they're hard-working. If they don't, they're said to be lazy. The Yule cat is the pet of a giantess, and it is said that she prowls the snowy countryside to set upon anyone who hasn't received new clothes. The cat will then gobble down the unfortunate soul, leaving no trace. So guys,